Jai Masters. In time, if you practice, you will find that that which you used to be is something you notice. All the caring about what people think, all the hopes and dreams and goals and concepts and views and likes and dislikes and fears and anxieties, the whole package is something that is at a distance. It's something you see. It's something that gets stimulated a little bit maybe by the outside world. You see a tendency toward these things, but it never gets to you. It never splashes up far enough to involve you who notices it. That is called your center. That is your center. That is what's called your seat of consciousness. It is all about that. If you make it about getting the world away so that when it comes in, it doesn't disturb that thing you watch. We can call it the monster. Freud had a name for it, but he got it a little bit wrong. He called it ego. In the trade, we call it Igor. So there it is. This thing, it's a thing in the universe. Piano's a thing, a glass of water's a thing. This is a thing. We'll talk about where it came from. We can talk about why it is the way it is. But it is there. And you, the consciousness, unfortunately, are aware of it. If it moves, you notice its move. If it gets high, you notice it got high. If it gets low, you notice it got low. If it gets scared, you notice it got scared. It's a thing. It's a thing. Your seat of consciousness is what we call transcendent to that thing. That's a very big word. Who knows that anybody understands what it means? When you reach that state, you will understand. What does it mean to be transcendent to that thing? I am transcendent to the piano. I can look at the piano, but the piano has nothing to do with me. If I want to not look at the piano, I don't look at the piano. The piano is not part of me. I can play it. I can make nice music. You can tell me how good a piano player I am, but the piano has nothing to do with me. That thing's out there. I'm in here. I am transcendent to the piano, meaning I come from a different place. I have nothing to do with it. The example I always use is a light, if it shines on the piano, takes on the shape of the piano. There was darkness, there was nothing there. The light shines, all of a sudden there's keys, white keys, black keys, there's dials, there's all kinds of things and speakers. Okay, the light seemed to be associated with the piano. It took on the shape of the piano. But it isn't. It has nothing to do with the piano. If you move the light off the piano, it shines on something else. It doesn't take on the quality of piano-ness. It doesn't even matter how long it shines on the piano. It could shine on the piano for 10,000 years and never move off. And if you move it off, it's the same as it's never there. Light is transcendent to what it is shining on. It doesn't exist on the same plane as what it is shining on. Consciousness, you, awareness, how you in there? You can see this thing. There it is. It's in essence your psyche. So psychology calls, well, it depends, they define different things, but I call it your psyche, the combination of your emotions, your thoughts, all your thoughts. What you think of yourself, what you think of other people, what you like, what you don't, just all that stuff that goes on in there. It don't go on here, it goes on in there, doesn't it? That is your psychological aspect of your being. It is not your being. Your body is not your mind. Your body is not your emotions. It is a aspect of your being that you're aware of. You can see that you have one. Likewise, you are aware that there are thoughts. You're aware that there are emotions. You're aware that there's this system inside that uses the word I. I like this, I don't like that, I want this, I don't want that. These are my goals, that's my wife, that's my husband, this is my child, that's my car, this is what I look like. You got one of those? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That whole thing in there, are you aware that it's in there? Are you aware that somebody says, oh, you look really nice today? That all of a sudden it gets nice in there. Somebody says, oh, have you been sick? And you haven't. It doesn't feel so nice in there. Yes or no? That thing is something you are aware of painfully. aware of it. If it gets jealous, you are aware it got jealous. It wasn't jealous, then it got jealous, then somebody says, oh no, that was his sister, and it's not jealous anymore. Right or wrong? It's a thing. Wake up. It's just a thing in the universe, like a hat. It's just a thing that you're aware of. It is what I call in the trade an object of consciousness. Consciousness can be aware of anything. That's one of the things you can be aware of, that thing in there. When you are transcendent to that thing, it does not mean it doesn't exist. It does not mean you don't know it. Somebody once asked a great master who was way transcendent to everything, Ramakrishna, the greatest master of all the face of the earth, fully enlightened being, an amazing being. They asked him, Master, does an enlightened master ever feel anger? The master answered, yes, but it's like riding on water. Well, if you ride on water, it doesn't matter what you rode because nobody's reading it. The moment it happened, it's gone. In other words, there can be things that hit the psyche in a way that causes different reactions. You've noticed that, haven't you? The difference is, in a great being who is transcendent to that, it just comes and goes. It's just like wind. The wind blows. There's no reason to do anything about it. Do I need to erase when I rode on water? Oh my God, somebody might see it. No. I just, nothing. Boop, there it goes, it's gone. As soon as it exists, it's gone. Nature's that way. It just does its thing and throws a tornado at you and then a tsunami and then in an hour this beautiful sunny sky. It doesn't even say I'm sorry. It just, Have you noticed nature's like that? It has nothing going. It just, there's energy, it expresses itself, and that's it. That's what Ramakrishna meant when he said, these different things can come. They come and go. They just pass right through. The Gita says that. I quote you that from the Gita all the time. It's my favorite part of the Gita. Right, where Arjuna, that's the spiritual son, if you will, of Krishna, this great devotee, and Krishna represents talking to God. So he asks a question to God. It's nice to listen, all right? They call him the Godhead, if you will, just supposed to represent the absolute, infinite, omniscient one. And Arjuna asked Krishna, he told me about this state of enlightenment where somebody just is gone beyond the whole thing. They're transcendent and they're merged with God. How will I know this person? Sits he, walks he, talks he like any other person? Wow. That's a nice question, all right? And the answer is, Arjuna, he sits, he walks, he talks like any other man. If you would know him like this. In joys, he's not overjoyed. Riding on water. In sorrow, he's not oversorrowed. He lets goodness come when it will, and when it will depart. He lets darkness come when it will, and when it must, depart. He walks as a sojourner, a stranger, in the midst of the qualities of nature. Just as all the waters and rivers and streams of the earth pour into the ocean, but the ocean does not overstep its bounds, so the world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him, serene, content, at peace. Riding on water. Do you see it? Isn't that what that's saying? It's not saying it doesn't happen. It's not saying that when you reach the highest state, there's nothing happens. It's saying it doesn't make any difference. Does the water pour into the ocean? How long has it been doing that? How long has the Mississippi and the different rivers pour into the ocean? And for a long time. The ocean doesn't flood, doesn't overstep its bounds. Likewise, the world of sense pours in, it hits what it has to hit, and it's gone. It doesn't change the inner state. Why? Because the inner state is transcendent. The inner state is just watching. It's just there. It notices. It doesn't have to do anything about it. Let's say you come to me and you say, I have a major problem. What is that? There's wind. What? There's wind. There's wind. As soon as the wind gets over 6 miles an hour, it just freaks me out. I can't go to work. I can't eat. I can't do anything. Can't sleep. Oh my God, the wind's too loud. I can't sleep. And it blows against my face. Mostly when it blows against me, I feel it blowing against me. It's terrible. I don't like it at all. It's like, how you are about seeing 16 roaches running at you? That's how he is about the wind. I don't like the wind. Okay. Well, what are you going to do? You're his counselor. He came to you. Here's your 3 choices. 1, move to a very arid place where there's no wind. Carry a 4x8 sheet of plywood with handles on it and work out a lot so that if the wind ever shows up, boom, super anti-wind guy with a cape. You hold it up there and no wind. Is that what you're going to tell the guy to do? That's a lot of work. You got to be scared all the time. The wind will come. You got to protect yourself from it. You got to move somewhere where there's supposed to be no wind. And if, it's like, that's not a good idea, is it? That didn't solve anything. It avoided it. That's very important. I spend a moment. That's not a solution. It just creates more problems. You're still having a problem with the wind, but now you're having a problem moving somewhere, and you're having a problem holding up a 4x8 sheet of plywood. You just multiplied your problems. Okay? So the example I always use to get that in, not that you need it, is you're eating food that's making you sick. It's just every time you eat it, it makes you sick. So you go to a doctor. He says, I own stock in Pepto-Bismol. Take a bunch of it. Well, that's not solving anything. That's putting something on top of the symptom that I'm having. I'll have to take that Pepto-Bismol forever if I keep eating the food. So that's not the solution. Well, likewise, it is not the solution to attempt to avoid the wind because you can't handle it. So now we go to a slightly deeper therapist, and the therapist says, let's talk about this. What was your relationship with your mother and your father? Did they used to blow on you a little bit in your ear? Why are you reacting that way? Why do you do that? That could be a lot of work. Who the heck knows why the heck you got this psychological mumbo-jumbo about the wind? Most people don't have it. They're okay to handle some wind. Well, you can do that. At least that's working deeper inside than just trying to avoid the wind. There's the possibility that someday you'll go deep enough into the psyche, which is a pretty dark place, by the way, and pretty complex. There's a lot of things that happen that could have caused the wind to be the way you are. It could have been as simple as it builds on it. This is so important. I've always wanted to talk at this level with those three things. First, you see that attempting to avoid the wind so it doesn't bother you is a losing game. By the way, it is by definition now bothering you all the time. It's running your life. The avoidance of it is running your life. That's what every single human being does with their whole life, is try to manipulate and control what's happening to them so it doesn't bother them, or so it feels good to them. That's the exact same thing we just talked about. Right? So that's the outer solution. All right? You're busy. Aren't you busy with that? It never goes away. You're busy trying to get things the way you want so it doesn't bother your psyche. Busy trying to not have things you don't want so it doesn't bother your psyche. All I have to do is go boo. And if you don't like that, because you get scared of Halloween and you don't want people who say boo to you, you're never going to see me again. You're never coming back out here again. Whatever bothers your psyche, you're out of here. Whatever feels good to your psyche, you're into there. And this whole thing, people come all the time, but what about my goals? Shouldn't I be working with goals? Why don't you take a look where your goals are coming from? Because I guarantee it's your psyche. What do I think will make me happy later? Who do you think you're asking that question of? Your psyche. You're sitting there saying, 10 years from now, you're going to be somewheres. Try to feel what it'll feel like. Do you like it? Does it feel good? It's like trying on clothes. You're trying on an imaginary environment 10, 20, 30 years from now, and trying to see what it will feel like to the psyche. And if it says, I don't feel good, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to school. It'd be too hard. I don't want to go there. And if it feels good, exciting, and it turns me on, you want to do it. That's ridiculous. All right. So first you have the outside world of trying to control it to appease your psyche. That's what you're doing. You're appeasing your psyche. Second is at least you're working with your psyche. You're working to find out why it behaves like that. Why are you having trouble with the wind? People don't always have trouble with the wind. Not everybody has trouble with the wind. But I'm telling you, that psyche is a very complicated place. I don't know you want to go in there. You understand that? Why, it could happen, and I'm playing with past lives. You don't have to believe in them or anything, but, just make believe that some past life you were, a lighthouse keeper, and you stepped outside because your beloved finally came up to tell you they love you, and a big wind came by and blew her off. That'll leave us some scars. That'll call us some scars. So, you don't like the wind very much. But you don't know that. You don't remember your past lives, nothing going on. And now you're sitting there minding your own business, going about your business, and all of a sudden you're in this relationship, and you're about to have a kiss, the first kiss, and the wind blows, and your wig comes off. And all of a sudden, you now are compounding on top of the compounding, on top of the compounding. You start to become neurotic about the wind. How are you going to work that through? There's a lot of stuff. So when Freud sits there and says, and your mother? What was it like with your mother? He understands. It goes all the way back. Okay. So basically, you can do that, and part of your path will be doing that, to try to help this poor little psyche. Does the psyche have some issues? Now that I define psyche for you, is it a little sensitive? Does it get hurt? If somebody doesn't say hello when you go, "Hey, Sally!" and she doesn't even turn around. How you doing? I call it getting weird. Does it get weird in there? That's not you. You're not getting weird. You're noticing that the psyche got weird. My heart is hurting me. Oh my God, I started to get so scared. Whose heart? I love that the way you use your language is the truth. If you say, my heart is hurting me, my is a possessive pronoun. Whose heart is it? The one who's looking at it. You're not the hurting heart. You're the one who's noticing. When did you first notice that your heart started hurting? You may answer me. Was it hurting before that? No. What was it like before? You're just sitting there describing what does it look like in there. God, you're so high you don't even know it. That's a very high state. It's called witness consciousness. Trouble is you don't stay there. When your heart hurts you get sucked into it. And you're all involved in making it not hurt. And what do I do? And who do I blame? And do you hear me? So you don't maintain what Krishnamurti called objective observation. You understand that word now? It's called transcendence. Objective observation, witness consciousness. I'm in here, and there's a heart in here that's hurting. I'm in here, and there's these desires and these fears causing hurricanes and tornadoes and pretty crazy in there, isn't it? It just goes woo, woo, over the tiniest little thing. If I go, "Hey, Sally," and she turns around and goes, "Yeah." Oh, I'm not sure. It was better than no answer at all, but I'm not sure was good enough. And for the rest of the day, you're all weird. Do you hear me? So you can go in there and try to fix the thing, but will you see how screwed up it is? I mean, let's not just talk about these major things. Look at all the tiny little things that get you upset. Do you get upset if the driver in front of you is driving 20 miles an hour below the speed limit and you're in a rush? And it just starts getting weird in there. You start talking to the driver. Come on, there's a speed limit sign. Don't you see the sign? It's 20, 12. Come on, man. In other words, this psyche gets upset. Not murderous, not road rage. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, I want you to get to the state that if it changes at all, you notice. You were driving down the street, you were doing fine, you were thinking about where you're going or something, whatever, playing music, and then all of a sudden you get behind this person and you can't pass them and they're going that slow, and I'm telling you, you're not enjoying the music anymore. That's not the same as what the Gita said. So the world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him, serene, content, at peace. You wish. Do you see what I'm making you look at it this time? It means nothing happened because somebody was driving 20 miles over the speed limit. There's nothing to do about it. What about you have to go somewheres and it starts raining? Ever have a problem with that? Anything inside ever get disappointed? Or feel, oh my God, I'm going to get wet. What am I going to do? You can't handle anything. Pay attention. I'm holding the Gita to you as a level. The world of sense pours into the yogi and leaves him as it found him. Would you think that's a good description of you? There's not a chance in the world. If the wind blows, if the rain, it doesn't even rain. If it starts and you feel 3 drops, it starts in there. Oh my God, it's going to rain today. I was supposed to go out the thing. I don't know why it's have to rain today. It's not my, what the heck is that? That is not the world comes in and everything stays the same. It didn't stay the same, did it? Guess what? It never stays the same. It's the most neurotic, crazy thing that ever existed. It is completely sensitive. It is crazy. And what's neat is we're all crazy in different ways. That which bothers you causes yours to get in a tizzy. She couldn't care less. And then, by the way, yours changes too. We're going to talk about how it got that way. But yours changes too. That which completely leaves you alone right now, if it happens 3 hours from now, you start getting weird. It changes. Why? Well, you were minding your own business, sitting alone, enjoying a TV show or something, and your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife is not home, but they're coming home, and you're fine, you're enjoying it. In fact, you like your time alone a little bit. And it's like kind of alone time. And all of a sudden, on this soap opera that you're stupid enough to watch, some husband or wife starts cheating on somebody else. And it's all based on the fact that they were coming home late. And now all of a sudden it's 3 minutes late, and I'm telling you, your psyche is not doing the same thing as it would have done if you weren't watching that. Wow. It's embarrassing, isn't it? It's embarrassing. That's ridiculous. It's a TV show. It has nothing to do with anything, but it does. Anything that gets into that psyche programs it. It tends to make it react that way. Remember, I always tell you Skinner, the behavioral psychologist, said, man is the sum of his learned experiences. It's not true. You are the consciousness that is aware of a psyche that is the sum of your learned experiences. And it is, isn't it? It is the sum of your learned experiences. So that's the second method you can try to fix it. I only go into the detail to tell you that's a long road home, baby, even for one thing. So that's, one is the way of the world, the other is the way of psychology. Then there's this third way, which is the way of spirituality, which is the way of yoga. What is that? I'm in here, and I notice I have a weirdo for a psyche. That's okay. Wait a minute, what was the third way? I just told it to you. That's okay. What's okay? That I have a weirdo for a psyche. I'm also shorter than some people, taller than others. Sometimes my mustache isn't even, right? I wear glasses. Maybe I like them, maybe I don't. Lots of things in this world, aren't there? There's one of them. This thing's weird. Okay? People say things, it gets a little weird, right? So what? So sometimes the heart hurts. Seen one, seen them all. Ever seen a hurt heart? They don't last real long if you leave them alone. Ever see a mind give you a tizzy fit about something? Oh, it comes and goes like clouds in the sky. That's your way out. People sometimes ask me, why do you teach these classes? That's why I teach the classes. Because you went through college, maybe graduate school, you read all your books, and no one will tell you this. They got you either working with the world to get it the way you want, find a husband, and have a child, you'll be okay, and prove yourself and get your name and lights and get a lot of money so you can do whatever you want. That's what they'll tell you, how to fix this mess. They ain't fixing squat. Or you get into the whole psychology of why is it that way and learn to cope with things, and we can share and we can talk about them. That's wonderful. It's all fine. It ain't fixing it. You got a long road. That thing gets empty. It's got a lot of stuff in it. If it's true that everything that ever bothered you, everything that ever hurt you is still in there, and by the way, it is true, okay? You made a storehouse of your psyche of everything that ever bothered you, didn't you? If your sister got the bicycle when you were 6 and you wanted that color, you don't like bikes so much, nor do you like your sister. Stuff, isn't it? Worse yet, let's say you're not that far gone. It took your sister to say, hey, Sally, you want to go for a bike ride? We haven't done that for years. All of a sudden, you're not in such a good mood. Do you understand that's what happens? All of psychology is based upon the fact that that's what's going on. You have stored these things that bothered you because you didn't want to feel them. I don't want to feel it, so I suppress it. That's Freud's whole thing. I push it away, and so it stays inside. Then you make a storehouse. That's what your psyche's made out of. That's why your psyche's different than her psyche. Every single person, every moment is having a different experience. And if what happens is if they don't like the experience, it comes in and they push it away, that builds the psyche. That's what makes it be the way it is. If I have a stream, if every one of us has an equal stream of riverbed that's totally clean and just flows, there's no eddies, there's no currents, there's no waves, because there's nothing in that riverbed. It's as smooth as could be. We all have that. And each of us take rocks every time we have an experience. We stick them in our riverbed in accordance to where the experience happened and what it was and how big it was. That riverbed, within no time, the river will be totally different for every one of us. The currents will be different, the eddies will be different, the spray will be different, everything. And every time I stick something else in there, it makes it behave different, doesn't it? Because the water has to flow around the rocks, the obstacles. Every single time something happened to you and you stored it inside, which is every single time, you store the things that bother you and the things that turn you on. You don't store the rest. You don't store the dotted lines that you drive by on the road. You don't store all the cars that drive by. You don't store all the trees. You know how many things go by through you? The funny part is I've realized at some point in my life that 99.99% of everything you and I interact with is done the way the Gita says. 99.9% of the world comes in and leaves you as it found you. The clouds go by, the white lines go by, the trees go by, the cars go by, the people go by. Oh my God. You hear how much stuff there is that comes in? And the only thing that bothers you is the 1 out of a million. Okay? So you store this stuff that wasn't comfortable to you. And because you stored it, more stuff hits it. And your whole psyche becomes like the riverbed. And that's how I want you to see it. There's energy flowing inside of you. You have blocked it with this garbage that you stored, so your psyche is not clean. The mind and emotions are not clean. They're full of this stuff, exactly your stuff, all right? If you had an ex-boyfriend named Tim, and he was a real schnook in high school, I'm telling you, you're sensitive when I say, Tim, go up there. Where's Tim? So you have your own personal hell that you built inside yourself, and you built it inside the psyche. And I want you to see the psyche, mind and emotions as a riverbed, that the energy is supposed to flow up and feed you with love and shower you with love and grace and beauty and power and inspiration. That's what's supposed to be happening. Christ, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. What he's saying to you is right now, if somebody does exactly what you like and says what they like and just the way you want, you can get some juice, don't you? That's bread alone. That the only time you're getting turned on is when you're being fed what you want. So man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. In other words, inside of you is your soul, is your connection with God. And you're going to find out that at some point, if you let it, that energy comes up and feeds you more than intimacy, more than relationships, more than money, more than winning the lottery, every single second of your life. There's just this upward rush of holy waters flowing up inside of you. It's just so beautiful, isn't it? But it's blocked. Blocked by what? The stuff you blocked it with. The stuff that you couldn't handle because it bothered you. It wasn't comfortable to you. You didn't want to experience it. You're like the little kid that the father's trying to teach him how to play a grounder in baseball. And every time the ball bounces, he turns his head away. And he says, but I'm afraid it'll hit me. Of course it's going to hit you. You didn't look at it. You didn't feel it. But I'm afraid to. That perfect example. So this thing happened and you didn't like it or you're afraid you wouldn't like it. So you turned away. You pushed it away. And when you push it away, you store it inside of you. Why? I didn't let it pass. Therefore it stayed. The stuff you let pass doesn't stay in there. It goes right through. So now you've made a collection of everything that ever bothered you. You built your own house of horrors inside yourself. Stephen King could not have done better. The circus can't do better. Nobody could do better. You go in the circus, there's things jump out at you in House of Mirrors. That ain't nothing compared to it. Knows exactly what bothered you. Why? That's what you stored. And therefore you're sensitive to it. Therefore everything hits it. I didn't have to say Tim. I could have said Tiny. You would hit your stuff anyways. Right? It's sort of like it extrapolates. You hear me? And how many of those you got? Ha, ha, ha. And now you wonder why the energy doesn't flow. Of course it doesn't flow. And you wonder why the psyche is so weird. Now you understand. I said I would tell you why. I'm telling you, that is what built your psyche. And that is why the thing is the way it is. All right? Scared of rejection? Have any problems with rejection, anybody? Every time you were ever rejected, which of course in high school that happens a lot, all right? You stored all that stuff in there, and now you're afraid. You don't want to feel that anymore. You don't want to do anything. You worry about what you wear. You worry, I don't want to go to the party. Well, I guess some people might be there in a slightly different class than me, or I might not wear the right thing. They're not my kind of people, you know. In other words, you're afraid of being rejected. So even if it's not happening, it's bothering you. That's how bad the psyche is. It's not happening, but it's still bothering you because it could happen. That's where you live, inside of this thing. I told you, you can try and manipulate the world so it doesn't hit it. Good luck. That's called, I'm going to go out there and use all my effort to try and get what I want and avoid what I don't want. Which, by the way, that's where you got your wants and not wants. If there's stuff in there that now when you think about it, tiptoes through the tulips and it feels good because it's not hitting your stuff, then I like it. I like it. It was stuff that made me feel good before. Somebody was nice to me before, so I'm turned on by the thought of seeing them again. Do you hear me? All right. So you can waste your life by going out there and trying to manipulate the world around you today and tomorrow so it matches what makes you feel okay, what you like, and doesn't match what you don't like. And that's how people live their lives. They don't pay any attention. It doesn't work. You'll do it your entire life. No one has ever succeeded in getting every moment that unfolds in front of them be the way that at that moment they wish it would be. Because you keep changing, and it keeps changing, and they have nothing to do with each other. These are two systems have nothing to do with each other. Does everyone understand that? Your inner system of preferences is made up of the events that happened to you before. Is what's unfolding in front of you right now made up of the events that happened to you before? Absolutely not. It's made up of what's happening now. It's made up of the forces that cause it to be this way. Those are the people you see. Those are the lines. Those are what people say. Every single thing has a reason. None of it is because of what happened to you before. And don't you dare let them tell you it is. I don't want them to put that into your head. You're creating your universe. You are creating your experience of the universe. There's no question about that. In other words, the world is coming in, and you experience it in accordance to the veil that you built inside yourself. So you're liking and not liking, and you're sitting there saying, oh, God doesn't like me. It rains when I have my birthday. Why does it have to rain on my birthday? Fine, you built this garbage inside of you. The rain is not raining because it's your birthday. Go study meteorology. It's even true that that person's not yelling at you because of you. They're yelling at you because of them. They have stuff. Somehow your person hit their stuff, your beard, your hair reminded them of their uncle. Who knows? A person's not yelling at you. They're yelling at themselves. They're releasing the energy that got stimulated inside of them, and it's just aimed in your direction. That's a very great thing to understand. But you know what? You know, I hear this. It also means they don't love you. Sorry, Charlie. You can't have one without the other. It's the exact same thing. Somehow, your looks, your behavior, something you did, something they think you're going to do, is hitting their stuff in just the right way that it's stimulating positive. It's opening them up. It's like, wow, I'm living by bread alone, and you're it. It's coming in. It's passing through just right. You're hitting just the right buttons. And I'm telling you, you can feel love. Because that's what the energy flow is when it flows. When they say God is love and man was created in the image of God, all this stuff is the truth. There is energy inside of you that if you're clean and empty, it is so beautiful, it is pure love, and it leads right to God. Every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father, if you trace back that Shakti flow, that beautiful flow that starts inside of you, you will merge into the infinite. So all of it's true. The trouble is you've blocked it. Now, if somebody shows up and you call it the chemistry, it's not chemistry. It's just the dynamics of their being, their physical, emotional, mental history, whatever the heck it is. Oh, your father was a jockey? My father was a jockey. Oh, my God, this is great. Right away, you love him. All right? It's just, that's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with anything, does it? But in you, it opened you up. And because it opened you up, you felt love. That has nothing to do with that other person. And unfortunately, soon you'll find out. Because they will do something. They will not do something. Something will happen that is not what you expected and will not match what you wanted. And all of a sudden, there's not so much love. And then you have to start deciding how to cope with it and how to handle it. And we have to accept certain things. And into every life, some rain must fall. Or, I don't put up with this, I don't need it. Do you hear me? So your inner state is your inner state. How dare you credit it or blame it on somebody else? It is just that happens to how it's hitting at this time. All right, so we were talking about 3 ways to try and work with this. 1, manipulate and control the world so when it comes in, it matches what you want. I'll just do that. That gets a good luck. Good luck controlling, manipulating the moments that have nothing to do with you so that they match this garbage you have inside of you, most of which you don't even know until it gets hit. You understand that? I don't know why that bothered me so much. I never got bothered before. There you go. All right. Are we clean with that? All right. That's the lowest thing you can do with your life. What? Waste your life trying to manipulate the moments around you so they match what you want and avoid what you don't want. And I hope you heard it because that's what you've been doing your whole life and that's what everybody's doing. Second, get a little deeper. Try to take on the psyche. Try to fix it so it doesn't get jealous, so it doesn't get bothered by things, so it doesn't get insecure, so it doesn't this, so it doesn't. Oh my God, you got a lot of work. We got a lot of work because that's very deep and it's founded upon everything that ever bothered you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is a very fast way out. It's called the escape route. It's like cheating. Well, you don't have to waste your time sweating to manipulate and control everybody to be the way you want to be, okay? Wow, that'd be nice. You don't have to struggle with yourself and try to fix every little broken thing that's in there, why you feel jealousy, why you feel insecurity, and why you feel self-conscious, and why are you embarrassed that you went to the movies with some friends that didn't show up yet and you can't get uncomfortable standing in the line by yourself because people think that, woo, isn't it fun? Go fix it all. Good luck. Thank God. There's this 3rd way, and the 3rd way is yoga. The 3rd way is the essence of what spirituality is. That is, you are in there. Check. You are noticing you have a psyche. Check. You are noticing it's very weird. I can't take it anywheres. Can you? I can't take it anywhere because it's weird. Okay, check. All right. I'm not it. It's like the piano. It's something I see. It's something I experience. If I can be okay with that, if I can be comfortable with it's uncomfortable, I don't have to do anything. There's a word for that. Liberation. Now do you understand? In Sanskrit it's called Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta, the liberated soul. You are in there. You are the consciousness. You're you. That's not you. It uses the word I when it talks, but it ain't you, right? You can watch it say, I don't like this. I can't believe she did that. They told me they were going to be here. Now they're not there. I am not comfortable with it. That's not you. You're the one who notices it's doing that. That's where your work is. That's where spiritual work is. It's about, are you willing to work on yourself? Work on the most important investment you will ever invest in, which is you. Well, what does that mean? How do I work on myself? If you are okay with the psyche, then it doesn't bother you. Then you don't have to do anything. I was riding down the street and somebody yelled out on my bicycle, and somebody yelled out, get a horse. It's okay. That's that. Did you stop and fight him? Did you yell something back? I got one at home. It's a thoroughbred. Now, well, what are you doing? It bother you enough to react to it? That thing drives you crazy. Do you understand that? If somebody says one thing to you, you're not sleeping at night because that thing's bothering you. We're kind of sensitive, aren't we? Okay, very good. So what do? This is where your work is. These are the essence of everything I've been teaching you. Your work is to learn. I know you can't do it now, but you can learn. Look how hard you try to fight with the world to make it be the way you want. And then the next day there's another moment. Every moment there's a new moment. What are you doing? You're not gaining anything. You can't fight for every moment that's ever going to happen. You're just fighting to get one moment that feels okay. Whew, thank God. That's how few moments you get. So basically you wake up and you say, can I learn to be okay? I know I'm not. I know that the word Tim bothers you. I'm not saying it doesn't. I know that your sister says, let's go for a bike ride. You get weird. I know that if it starts raining, you get weird. I know that the wind bothers you. I know. I accept that. I have compassion for that. Guess what? You can learn. You learn math. You learn calculus. You learn to play the piano. You didn't know how to start with, did you? You started with the scales. You need to learn to be okay with the different changes your psyche goes through. Why? So you can be free. So you can enjoy your life. So you can be free to interact with life, not react to your psyche. Right now, somebody says something to you, and you are interacting with life due to your reaction. Due to the fact that it bothered you, due to the fact that you wanted it to happen again, or you didn't want it to happen again. If somebody walks up to you and says, I was talking to George, and he talked to Sally, and they said they knew someone, I can't remember his name, and they didn't like you. That bothers you. You've got to learn to handle this thing, this psyche, this monster, call it whatever you want. It is a monster. Why? Because it is made up of all the things that ever bothered you. That's what you stored in there. Of course it's a monster. So how do you do that? How would you like to learn to be liberated? That is what yoga is. It is the science of liberation. It is the path of how to free yourself from yourself. You must drop this part of you that's not you, the personal self, the ego self, in order to be you. You in there, the wholeness of your being. How do you do that? You learn to handle it. That's all. It's just not that hard. If you're watching TV and you're sucked into the TV so much that you don't feed the kids and you don't take care of the house, you don't do anything, what do you need to do? Not be so interested. You don't have to turn the TV off, just to be so interested. If a commercial comes on, you get up, there's nothing going on. You have to stop being so interested in yourself. You have to stop being so interested in this absurdness that this psyche you built. All right, how do I do that? You start just like the scales on the piano. You start with the tiniest little things. I do it every night I talk to you. I know as I get there, right? Start with the weather. The weather is your guru. The weather is the best teacher you will ever have It is equivalent to scales. It is equivalent to playing scales on the piano. Over time, if you play scales, you'll get good at it. And when you're good at it, you can play a piano piece. The weather is what it is. It's raining when it's raining, it's sunny when it's sunny, it's hot when it's hot, it's cold when it's cold, it's snowing when it's snowing. And it's windy when it's windy, by the way. All right? The weather is what it is in this moment. Can you handle it? Say no. Come on, guys. Say no. What do you mean no? Oh, it's hot. I can't believe it's so hot. Why should I stay in Florida? I don't know. It's always this hot. It's going to be 100? Oh, my God. It can't be 100. Anybody's mind ever do that? That means you can't handle it. I'm not saying you pull your hair out and freak out and start killing people. That's really not handle it. I'm telling you, if your psyche is reacting to the weather, you're not handling it. Oh, my God, it's cold. I hate the cold. I feel uncomfortable, and I got to wear so many clothes. I don't like all that kind of stuff. Right? No, what are you doing? If you don't like the weather, you won't like your life. Why? Because weather's part of your life. So if there are days you don't like because it's hot, because it's cold, because it's rainy, because it's windy, you ruined your life. So I'm telling you that you can work with yourself to not be like that. That's more important than meditation. It's more important than any spiritual techniques. How do you work with yourself? These are the tools that are given to you, but people don't understand them. One is positive thinking. You can sit there and say, when your mind says, oh my God, it's so hot, just say, make your mind say, I love the heat. I love getting hot. But I'm so sweaty. I love sweat. That's the power of positive thinking. So instead of letting this habitual default, if you will, garbage come up inside of you and ruin your day and ruin your life, you have the right to make your mind say what you want. It's your mind. I mean, right now inside, I want you to make it say over and over again, I love 100 degrees. I love the heat. The hotter the better. Go on. Is it doing it? Yes or no? Oh, you mean you have control of that thing. Why don't you use it? That's yoga. It's your mind. Why are you, by default, just relegating it to this garbage that's coming up inside that's ruining your life, complaining about everything? So start by practicing not complaining about the weather. But it is complaining. I don't fight with it. Don't ever fight with your mind. Because if you fight with your mind wins because you're fighting with it. But I like the heat. I don't. But who are you? You're in your mind. You're lost. Don't fight with your mind. Just relax and just neutralize it with positive thought. I love the heat. I like it. Little by little, light dispels darkness, as the master used to say. Little by little, if you're saying I like it, I like it. Which would you rather do? Like something or not like something? Well, you don't like something, you don't feel good. You like something, you feel good. So by definition, it's nicer to like something. And little by little, all your energy and all your consciousness will go toward that all by itself. Not right away. It takes time. Do you understand that? That's the power of you using your mind instead of letting your default garbage come up. Another technique is mantra. Your mind is repetitive. It's habitual. You know that. Songs get stuck in your head. Just start saying something. It can be a Hindu mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, Guru Om. Or it can just be a simple, I used to say God, God, God. I don't want to get confusing. God, God, God. There. Name of God. Which name do you use? God. I don't want to pick between them. So that was it. I just use a mantra. You don't have to do that. I was listening to a talk that we're going to publish soon that I gave, and it said, just say, I can handle this. I can handle this. That's a wonderful mantra. Can you imagine that I might start saying, oh, it's so hot. I can handle this. Oh, good. That's a fine mantra. Just get it going inside your head. Do it when you're driving the car, when you just get your mind habitually saying this thing over and over again. Now what's going to happen is you'll be walking down, it's 100 degrees out, 101, the mind's going, oh my God, it's 101. And you have a choice. Now behind you, it's saying, I can handle this, and you choose. That's higher than positive thinking. Positive thinking is attempting to negate what the mind is saying. This is saying, I'm not going to pay attention to what the mind is saying. I have a choice. Do I want to listen to, I can handle this, God, 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 Om Namah Shivaya, I don't care, whichever one it is, or do I want to listen to the noise? Well, soon you're going to find out the mantra is a really nice thing to have in there. It's your best friend. It's like constantly saying, I can handle this, God, God, God. What, do you get it? That's the power of a mantra. It's a very powerful thing to use. You see the difference? The difference is you're not trying to change the mind. You're shifting your awareness to a higher level of mind. Okay? And then there's the final technique, and then I'll stop. which is the one I have always used and works like a charm, but at first you won't be able to do it. But eventually you will, which is relax. What do you mean? It's hot. Did you notice it said it's hot? Do you really want to hang out with that? No. Relax. You in there that notices said it's hot, just relax. But it's still saying it's hot. It doesn't matter. If you don't engage in it, if you relax and lean away from where it's saying it's hot, you're actually leaning back into the seat of self and away from the psyche. The psyche is a thing. I told you that. Imagine if you could relax in the presence of what it said. It wouldn't pull you in. You have to engage. Relaxing is not engaging. If you totally relax, you're not engaging. The self can relax. You can relax and not engage. And what will happen is it will just pass by, and it will actually cleanse what's in there. You don't have to find it. It'll come up by itself, and you just lean back. And that's where the magic happens. Not mentally. You just lean away from the noise that the mind is making. And you're going to find out over time that not only does it not bother you anymore because you didn't get involved in it. You didn't engage in it. You relaxed your way through it. But you're going to find out that when you're leaning back, you're actually leaning back into the core of your being. And the core of your being is the most beautiful thing. Let's get that straight. The core of your being is, in Sanskrit, we say Satchitananda. Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. That is literally the core of your being. As you lean back into it, you start feeling that. You start feeling waves of joy, of love, of overwhelming beauty, and it starts pulling you into it. That's the entire spiritual path. That's called the ascent. It pulls you up into it, and the closer you get, the more joy there is, and it never stops. Never. Infinite joy, infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite inspiration, infinite passion. That's all that's back there. Man was created in the image of God. That's what it's talking about, and you will find that out for yourself. But not if you're looking at this mess that you made. That was not created in the image of God. You did it. You made that thing, that psyche. So you lean away from it. You can use all those techniques. Ultimately, I want you to learn to relax. If you can only relax for the tiniest little thing, fine. You practiced. But then use the other ones. Little by little, eventually, all you will do is relax. When the psyche moves, you relax. Now it's your guru, not the weather. The fact that it moved, I relax. Wow, that's like a teacher. And eventually you will be transcendent to it. There's nothing it can do that will pull you into it. And now you can live your life. Not now you went to a mountain somewhere in a cave. Now you're clear. You're centered. You're established in the seat of self. Now the world unfolds in front of you, and you can actually see it instead of being blinded by your reaction to it. It's not personal. And then you start to serve it. You start to do what you can do to help. I always leave you off that way. You're actually now serving the moment in front of you instead of trying to get something or avoid the moment in front of you, which is what everybody else is doing. They're fighting with it. They're manipulating it. Not you. So you sit there and you look out at it, and you're going to find out that you can help. There's something you can do. As the moment passes by, smile at it, give it a little kiss on the head, help it, give it a raise, whatever. And you become a servant, serving the moments unfolding in front of you because you don't need anything from them because you're being fed inside. That's the great state. So we had a very deep talk, and it started from the point of view that there is this thing called a psyche. Let's not lie about it. There's this monster, this thing. Freud called it ego, or really the combination of ego and superego. They're all psyche. All he did was look at the psyche and break it into little pieces. Oh, here's the part that does this, and here's the part that everybody put in your head, told you how you're supposed to be, and here's the reaction to your physical animal being, and all that stuff's in there, and it makes up this psyche, and you don't know whether you're coming or going, baby. I like it, I don't like it, I want it, I shouldn't have it, it's wrong, but I want it. Oh my God, it's pretty confusing, isn't it? Rise above it. Rise above it. Relax your way through it. You can free yourself. And that's the most beautiful life you can live and for everybody around you. Jai Gurudev.